In the year 30,000, mankind's unifying forces turned on each other in futuristic civil war. The Horus Heresy had begun amidst a dark age of technology. Weaponries that erased the meat of the body, armor fit for angels, marvelous walking tanks in a warrior's image, and also other stuff seen in the background. Greetings, chromatic warriors. Today we not only look at the battlefield appliance, but also the appliance of an Olympic painter, the Airbrush. I've been sent an arcane Quad Accelerator to be painted in the Thousand Suns scheme. Thank you to Games Workshop for sending this kit ahead. Originally, I had wanted the Dreadnought, but since boxes were very limited, I was given a single Quad Accelerator gun. As I'm really eager to see who got an entire box or a Dreadnought, I do have a quad gun to paint. I have volunteered to paint this for free. After all, when it comes to getting things done, the Airbrush is going to be your friend. This along with some masking materials. You should probably mention the various materials. That's right, one can use low-tack masking tape, silly putty, poster tack, even a liquid mask. When you're using a liquid mask though, lay it on in heavy amounts. When you peel it away, it will come off in one piece versus creating thin strips. Here's the first trick. I think that when you're airbrushing a project, the order of operations changes slightly. I have multiple colors that I want to apply, so I'll start with the smaller objects. In this way, I'll be using less materials to mask. Horus Heresy Thousand Suns are red, black, and gold, not to be confused with the other legions sharing the same scheme. These ones are desert druids. After scientific analysis, I'd like to paint the main cab and leg armors in red. The housings on the cannons themselves will be black, but to demonstrate my point, let's add a dash of red to those housings as well. Angling in on that specific hue of red, I'll use dragon red for the base. In the act of highlighting that dragon red, I'll apply some pure red. Keep in mind that angles are going to be your friend. The airbrush is like a ray of light. Direct it in a top-down direction, and also consider how far the light will reach around those right angles which are facing sideways. That's it? You're not going to dilute the paint? No, actually. I use Warpaints Air. I don't know how other brands vary, but I'm using this straight from the bottle. I find that a spotted result comes from holding the brush too far away in most cases. Case by case. You can't know case by case. So sometimes when I am diluting my paint, I have this mixture nearby. I say mixture because it's airbrush medium, but 1/10 of this is rubbing alcohol. The alcohol helps to melt the paint a little bit and or extend the drying process. It's somewhat magic to me, but adding this into a paint, usually the lighter range of colors can tend to be a little more gritty. So when needed, you can use this additive. But also when you've diluted your paint, keep in mind that you are going to get fast results, but maybe not the most saturated end. So 3 layers minimum. I test spray on a spare part of my body that you can't see, usually my feet, so no one knows what I'm doing inside, alone, all day. I'm building a world in here. You don't leave the house. Not entirely true. Anyways, here's what I'm talking about. But also, with the airbrush, be aware you can have a smooth result that may not be as saturated as you intend. Looking at every stage of clean airbrush work is pleasing, but I'd recommend going back for at least 3 layers. Look how I can play on the saturation to create a gradient. On the rear ammo canisters where less light would reach, I'm aiming for a faint circle of light instead of an even plate of color. After letting the reds fully dry, I even hit them with the hairdryer to be sure that long distance dry. Don't hope for problems, try to stop them before they occur. Here, I don't want to peel any paint off when I remove an adhesive mask. If you want to be mad at the airbrush, go ahead. But to learn this tool and use it right, guide the process. Mask off the red with poster putty. Notice I'm listening to Beach House and gently pressing it into place. Then I can apply a coat of matte black. Now after the matte black is solid, you have a choice to make. Adding a slight blue influence to the black will give it a nice complement to the red by temperature, but maybe just darker is good enough. It's a question of realism in a way. I'll add a faint coat of dark sky, but if you wanted to skip this, you can go right to Regiment Gray. Again, using it in faint amounts, you can build on that gradient by just applying smaller transparent coats of acrylic paint. Oh, it's time for a grand reveal! Doesn't really work when you're alone. Not bad, but I feel the red is lacking. I'll mask up and apply a sparing highlight of Nomad flesh. Again, paying attention to saturation and angles, covering a much smaller amount and finishing the basic anatomy of the shape. That anatomy being a shadow, a midtone, and a highlight. Are you enjoying this video? Please like and subscribe and be sure to check all the relevant links down below. I've got codes. For the metallics, I could mask things up and airbrush again, but I wanted to break up the mask with smaller touches of steel and gold, so I'll go in with the old brush. Using steel for the main parts and Emperor gold for the accents. I'll also use bright gold on the visible shell casings. Seems right that they wouldn't be the same fancy metal. Now is the time to commit to painting the colors silver and gold for the next 2 hours. I love painting. I'll see you when I'm older. Day 2. I'm back. And now that the metals are based, I can bring the airbrush back into the situation for some shading. Spraying in a manner that is opposite of Zenithal. Some may logically refer to this as anti-Zenithal, but if you do, one person will tell you it's Nidiral light. It really flows off the tongue. Once my anti-Zenithal shade is applied, I'll also hit some more general shadows. The extendo feet, for example, can be masked off with my thumb and shaded just like so. Every part of your studio, including your body, is a tool. And once the shadows are in place, I like to add a wash or speed paint to the metallic paints. Their glossy nature works well with these types of tools. I'll use Tyrian Navy to give it a hue of blue, working nicely with that red again. For the brassy bits, a coat of dark wood. No spicy overtone here. I like the warmth that this holds on to. On the visible shell casings, I'll use Nuclear Sunrise. What a fun and terrifying title. I haven't used this speed paint yet, and I like how it differs from the rest of the metals. It's always nice when you have the entire array to choose the perfect tone. Let's talk about Lenzes. Real quick, over a base of Scarab green, a half covering of Angel green. Smaller still with Greenskin, and then, following that, just a little crescent moon of Leafy green. All of those are covering less space and graduating to the lower side to create the effect of a convex, transparent surface. Techie stuff. I do want some variation from the green and will paint the other lenses similarly. I'll use blue tones, but the colors will be listed below. Time for that final lap. We get to finish it. I'm excited. Highlight all the red areas with Sacred Scarlet and Fiery Vermilion. In the darker areas, that's where I'll use the Fiery Vermilion. It looks off if you highlight with your brightest color, Sacred Scarlet, in a near black area of shadow. After working on all these panels, it would be a shame to carve it up with a lacing of uniform highlights. This is not exactly the movie Tron. This is Value Control, my friends. A movie coming out in the future. You heard it here first. Now on the gray-blue areas, I'll use uniform gray. There's nothing to see here really, just some edge highlights, the old violin bow approach. I'm just skating along the edges and increasing saturation as the line leads or slightly tilts towards the light being upward or more forward facing if these cannons are at a slight tilt, which is going to be the resting position. On all of the metals, time for a little touch of mithril. It will add that hint of a glint and finish off the metals. Very nice. I like to really maximize on my metallic reflections. They're just so bright and shiny, so don't be afraid to use a silver highlight on a brass object. Don't be afraid, or feel free. Either way. Okay, well, it's over. This is the end. And in the end, I'm happy to have this piece painted up. Getting something early from Games Workshop is a challenge I appreciate as I work well with deadlines, and I am a fan of Warhammer. I do feel excitement for new Warhammers. I don't always go for it, but bringing this piece to life in a couple of days was enjoyable, even though it wasn't my first favorite thing. It also serves as a point of interest in games and pictures to come. I feel it's going to get more action than the individual pieces, as I plan to take more cinematic photos throughout the future. So, if you see some staged sci-fi photos from me, look for the quad gun. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please let me know how you feel in the comments section down below. And until next time, remain unchained.